Now we'll review how to add an office in the software. If you are logged in as the administrator in the company level login, you'll scroll down to the bottom to manage offices. You'll see any offices you've already created, and you could search by either office name or even if you have a large list that you would like to eliminate scrolling through. And to add the office, you would select Add Office. You'd fill out the office name, and then from there, it's customization for the office. So if you're going to offer audit protection or identity theft protection, you could select which one of those companies you're willing to work with, and then the add-on fee, if that office would like to add additional funds to create a rebate for themselves. And as we keep scrolling, there's some additional customization checkboxes. So as an example, if you're using electronic signatures, whether it's through the mobile app, the customer portal, or if you have a signature pad or mouse, if they're physically with you, they can electronically sign. And you would prefer that the signature also printed on the 1040 itself, you could check that box. A personal preference of mine is the summary page and how its default view is set. I personally like looking at the 1040 and its schedules. That's what I'm used to. So I check this box to display the summary page in the 1040 view. There is a toggle on the summary page, so you can switch back and forth between summary or 1040 view. But as a default setting, you can have it set to either 1040 or summary, depending on your preference. So most of these checked boxes below are all customizable options. And then finally, you would just set your office address and phone number. And then you could save and access the office. Or if you have templates that you have set for time saver, so whether it's a fee template, so you don't want to have to set the fees up individually every time. So if you have multiple locations and all locations share the same fee structure, you could do the fee template from the company level once and then set them while you add each individual office. If you don't have control necessarily of the office, you're a service bureau or a reseller, and you're allowing that office to control setting up repairs, limiting what the preparer can and can't do, the fees, then you would not have a template to set to them. You would just simply hit save and access that office, or continue, and it would take you back to the manage offices area where you could edit or access. So I've already added an office that corresponds with Account Hub under Training Office. So I will hit access. This jumps me into the office itself. So since I am logged in as the administrator, not as a preparer, I do not see Start New Return. I see Select Another Office. So in this place where Select Another Office is, that's where Start New Return is for a preparer. But again, I'm the administrator, not a preparer. So to finish setting up an office in the software, I've already added the office. Now at a minimum, there's two things I need to do. Go to configuration, add the EFIN under ERO setup. Now for this example, I've already set this office up, but if I wanted to add it, I would hit add ERO. But I'll edit it just so you can see what it looks like. The customer ID, in another video I mentioned, under the Account Hub, when you add the office, the customer ID field would be important. So if I go back to Account Hub, go to Manage Locations, edit the location. This is the customer ID that I can copy and paste into the software. that matches the EFIN that we have on file. The ERO name is really just the display name if you choose one of those customizable checkboxes. If you would like to have the ERO name, the preparer name, or both printed on the tax return. Whatever's displayed on this field would then print if you choose to have the ERO name printed. Office identifier, this is mostly for reporting. This is not a field you have to enter. This is not required. But if you have multiple locations, and let's say they all have the same name, like Fast Tax, and if you didn't memorize what EFIN goes to which location, you don't really know which Fast Tax office this might be. So you can use the office identifier, whether it's an office number, a state, a city, a street, whatever helps you know which location that is. That's the purpose of office identifier. And then if they have an EIN, or you could then scroll down to the bottom here, enter their address and phone number, and then continue to save it. So that's one of two things that is required at a minimum. The next, still in configuration, if I back up a little bit here, go back to the configuration menu, prepare setup. So I would add a preparer. Social is not required. I would need to add the first and last name, a 5-digit PIN, the preparer's PTIN, some more customization checkboxes. So if this is a preparer you want to limit to only seeing their own returns, check that box. But again, we're talking about setting up the office for the first time. So if this is the first preparer you're adding, you probably don't want to restrict what they can or can't do. Preparer agent information you leave blank. This is for IRS volunteers only. And then finally at the bottom, email address and phone number. This is for MFA. So when you first log in, it will require a code be sent. Would you rather that text or emailed to you? You have the option for either. You create a username. You can then create a generic password. And if you check this box, it will require that they change the password the first time they log in. You as the administrator do not need their login credentials. You have a pass-through that allows you to access their software at any time. So if you need to help them with something, you can do so very easily without needing their login credentials. And then Mfa Interval. It's defaulted to 7 days. So that's once a week. You have the option for every day, once a week, once a month. It's really up to you or that preparer how often they want that code to be required to log in. It's just an extra layer of security. And then if there was any security templates added, you would be able to select them here. But once you're done, you would continue to save. And at a minimum, that's all I have to do. So if I go back and recap, I go back to the company level login. If I've added them in Account Hub, I come back down to Manage Offices. I add the office. Once I save and access the office, 2 things at a minimum I need to do is configuration. The 2 areas are ERO setup, where I add the EFIN, and add at least 1 preparer. From there, this office is set up. Now it depends on how much freedom or control you will have over this office. If you're going to allow them to finish the setup on their own, you simply give them your link. So up here at the top, you would submit the whatever your prefix is, .cloudtaxoffice.com. They would then log in with the login credentials you created, update their password, then they can log in and finish the setup from here. If you're going to have more control, I mentioned the templates earlier. You may want to consider using the templates to save you some time in the setup. However, if their office is unique, it's not everything's the same among every office. Templates may not always work for you. So if you want to help them to set up their fees, you would do so under fee setup. Adding additional preparers under prepare setup. If there's some fees that are not listed under fee setup, you can create custom fees, but also custom discounts. You can track those fees and discounts in some reports. So really this depends on the level of freedom you're going to give that office or the amount of control whether you're the business owner, you have multiple locations, or you're just a reseller of software, just really how much control you're going to want to have in the setup process. So that's the conclusion of how to add an office inside of the software.